What's going on, everybody? Good evening. This is our special edition of Tuesday Tactical Trades. Shout out and in memory of Army Piper. That makes it sound like he's like dead or something. Army Piper's not dead. He just stepped away from the channel for a brief period of time. But we are here, me and T-Shroom, doing Tuesday Tactical Trades until Piper is back in the saddle full time. If that is something you guys are excited about, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you're new here, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. We have a morning show that we cover a lot of news. We do some TA and we talk about the crypto markets. But this show, this Tuesday Tactical Trades, any Tactical Trades episode is devoted to nothing but the charts and taking requests from you, the public. So if you are a silver, gold, or diamond member here in Investing Bros, you guys get to give requests. We're talking crypto. We're talking stocks. Make sure you go ahead and drop the ticker symbol of what you want to see in the chat, and we will be looking at green names to get those suggestions. But real quick, let me go ahead and introduce T-Shroom. T-Shroom, how are you doing tonight, and how are you excited for yours and my first Tactical Trades episode?
Tim, I am excited, and I'm doing better than I deserve, as you might imagine.
Good. Yes.
So yeah, doing good, and I'm excited, and I'm doing better than I deserve.
And
I'm excited to see some of the unique tickers that are thrown out. I hope that we get some good stocks that are thrown out too, to challenge Tim. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the chart prime indicators actually work really well on stocks. So we're going to be able to dive into that and explore the world that we live in of investments.
You guys know here at Investing Bros, we love us some chart prime. So thank you, Chart Prime. Also, thank you to you guys for watching. But Chart Prime is going to be used throughout the whole thing. So make sure you guys stick around. You get some cool tips and tricks. But with this kicking off, we got a great head start from Indie Rock Crypto. And I'm going to ask here in a second for you guys to tell me what you want to do, because he went ahead and dropped a whole lot of them. And I'm going to go in and say we'll just go through these and get what the public wants. He says Bitcoin, Ethereum, Matic. Is that CTSI? What is CTSI?
Not sure.
That's not Cody. That's not Cody, right?
No, I'll look it up.
I think Cody is it just COTI? COTIU? Yeah, COTI. So it is Cody. Cody is literally just Cody. So it's not that. So I don't know what CTSI is. AMP,
CTSI
render,
is Cartesi.
engine. Cartesi.
Cartesi. Yeah.
Cartesi. It's Cartesi.
It's not one that we see very much, but it does have 74% circulating supply. So
it's not. It's not. Well, let's see here. Taking your Elliot Locke says taking your request. Ribeye, medium rare, baked potato fully loaded, and some fried okra. Listen, you lost me at fried okra for sure. And I'm telling you right now, Elliot Locke, medium rare, good second choice. For me, let's go rare, baby. Borderline blue. If you guys know or have ever had blue steak, you gotta check your stomach in the morning, but it can be good.
Little beef sushi.
Let's go ahead and get in here. Let's see which one of these we're gonna go with. We're probably he said Bitcoin first. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just really quickly check out the Bitcoin chart while we're waiting on other suggestions here.
Tim can't help himself.
Because by the way, guys, I mean, when you're looking at the Bitcoin chart, it is what kind of gives us the precipice for everything else. It gives us context for all the other coins. So the biggest thing I just want to mention on Bitcoin's chart, go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll wait for another suggestion to come in here, is we are sitting at critical support. You guys can see in the title, this is, first of all, we also said live Bitcoin TA. So anyone just joining in, they probably came in saying, oh, I want to see some Bitcoin TA. We'll go more in depth if you guys want it, but just from the daily chart, you guys need to understand there's a two side to this. One, we're back down at support. Bitcoin is not bullish, even though a lot of us thought we were going to eventually just break out of this and start heading to the upside. We are back down. But the good news is we're back down to this very critical support. This level, this as Piper has coined the T box. My lower T box, this yellow box coming right here at 29.7. Yes, we had wicks drop below it back here on June 22nd. We also had a wick drop below here on June 30th. So it's not really that concerning to me that we had a wick drop below. This is the lowest we've seen a candle body close on the 4-hour chart, which is an interesting thing. But guess what, guys? There's a reason why I put the box right there with some of our other wicks down here, and we bounced perfectly right at that 29.7. The question is what's going to happen after this. When you're trading, though, this is a very opportunistic thing. I actually really love what I see here. I'm going to go back out to the daily chart. Let's take a look here. And I want you guys to kind of think through with me on this. In the morning show, I'm just talking about T8. We're talking price action. You do with it what you want for trade setups. But when I'm looking at this chart and I'm sitting here saying, do I want to set up a Bitcoin trade? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't really love necessarily where the daily chart is because we lost a very significant support level. I loved this the other day when we came down and bounced at the 0 line here on the chart prime oscillator. I love when we bounced on these 50 on the RSI. The fact that we dropped a little below, I'm not saying we can't find a bounce here. We absolutely can. But this isn't necessarily massively overextended and oversold Bitcoin. So I'm not necessarily saying this is the greatest daily chart, but what I'm doing here is I'm setting up, if I want to trade, maybe I want to enter a trade today, maybe I'm looking for maybe a good entry tomorrow, and I want to sit in that trade for maybe 2-3 days, maybe a week at the greatest. I'm going to start off by looking at what is the daily chart doing? What is the daily chart? Are we in a bullish trend? Are we in a bearish trend? Are we getting close to support? That's my kind of starting. Then I want to go down to the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at what's happening down here. This is where it starts to get a little more better. I'm a little sitting here saying, hey, I think there's a decent trade to enter in. Why? Because when it comes to the 4-hour chart, I talked about that critical support we're at, and we bounced right there at 29,700. But then we also are looking at here, and we are overextended. Our RSI came all the way down here. Where did we get to? Down to 12 on the RSI. We, of course, our money flow is super low here on the trend fusion oscillator that Chart Prime has, but it is starting to round here. And of course, our ribbon is super low. Our ribbon down here is negative 98, but what I love here is the oversold and green triangle combination, and the fact that we had a peak seeker here a couple days ago. This is awesome, but this isn't my trigger. If I'm looking for a trade tonight to be in for a couple of days, or I'm looking, do I need to enter a trade tonight? Do I wait a couple more hours? Do I wait till tomorrow? I'm starting with the daily chart, saying, hey, is it oversold or overbought? I come down to the 4-hour chart. Is it oversold or overbought? We are seeing it is sitting here oversold. Not the craziest oversold, but we are getting reversal signals. Let me even take a look to see. I would have loved to see a reversal right here. We did not get a 4-hour reversal. Let's see if we get one on the lower chart. This is going to be my chart that I come in and I say, all right, I am executing when I like what I see on the hourly chart. And what we're seeing on the hour chart is actually pretty good, guys. We got bullish divergence, a green reversal. We came down below the 30 here on the RSI, and look, I told you guys, you can see the bullish divergence right here on our normal oscillator. But even when we look at RSI, let me put down the trend fusion for just a second, and actually I want to move this above it so that I can get a little more room here. Let's close this one just so I get a little more RSI with the price action. You guys can see our RSI dropped all the way to 15, but then this level we only came to 21, despite the fact that our candle body closes went lower. This is some bullish divergence. Not going to lie to you guys, the fact that we are sitting kind of in a neutral, a little bit overextended, but massively overextended on the daily charts, not my favorite. I wish we had a little bit lower. I would have more confirmation and confluence here if the daily chart was down here at the bottom of the oscillator. But the fact that we are sitting at the bottom on the 4-hour chart, the fact that we are sitting at the bottom on the 1-hour chart, this is a trade opportunity that I would be entering in on Bitcoin for a move to the upside. And more than likely what I'm looking at is a potential take profit around, I think we break through the trend assistant. I think what we're looking at is realistically a pull up maybe to our market, our dynamic reactor. I don't know why I'm blanking on the names. Dynamic reactor. Now, here's something to keep in mind, guys. Whenever you're entering a trade, look at what I just pulled up. Let's say this happens. My trade at the moment, if I'm entering a trade on Bitcoin, if I'm saying, Tim, I want to enter a trade, I might not even stay in this trade for a whole hour. Or a whole day, excuse me. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to enter now, and I'm going to take profit when we come back up to these levels that we were just at, around 30,400, and we're more than likely running into and hitting our dynamic reactor. That's only a 1.8% gain. So now I got to ask myself the question, do I actually want to enter this trade? And if I do, I need to make sure I form some form of leverage, because guess what? 1.8% on one-to-one trading is just not worth my trouble and my time. So I'm looking at, if I'm entering a trade here, which I'm not looking to enter a trade on Bitcoin right now anyway, I guess I could, but I just don't want to do this. I'm probably looking at a 5X. I'm probably looking at a 5X here, in which case I could get a little bit closer towards that 7-8% on a trade with this opportunity. If you're a daring man or woman, you maybe want to go like 20%. Again, sitting on this strong support, that's very, very helpful. You're probably looking at setting up some sort of stop loss in the sake. Let me see where we got. Let's go long position here. Let's say we enter right here. Let me go ahead and get rid of this box right there. I'm taking profit up here at 30,400, which means if I'm going 2% to the upside, it actually rounds to about 2%, guys. That means I'm at least probably putting my stop loss right here below the wick we just had, and that's going to put me closer towards that 1% stop loss, which if I'm on a 5x, that means, 5% loss. If we drop below that wick and go lower, I definitely want out of this trade. But I do believe we have a good little trade set up here on Bitcoin that I think we could make a push back up here towards Dynamic Reactor, break through it a little bit, hit some more of these highs back up here towards 30,400. That is a trade I'm definitely looking at. Now, I will keep an eye on the hourly chart. If we start pushing up here towards 30,200 and I'm seeing overextended RSI and overextended oscillators, maybe I pull the trigger a little early on my take profit. But as a whole, that is what I'm looking at for potential trade setup here on Bitcoin. Let's go back to Brocam. That is what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin's chart. I'm sure there was lots of suggestions in chat for next coins. Let me know what you guys think about that Bitcoin setup, though. T-Shroom, before we move on to the next one, what is your thought about that?
Man, I just love how it's like kind of a whisper. It's a different.
Yeah. So Ben is in a Twitter Spaces on the other side of the wall. So I'm really not trying to like scream and get in, but it's also with the ears in. I don't really know how loud I actually am. There's a chance I'm really being way too quiet and he doesn't actually care. And if the truth is, he might have walked away. I don't hear his voice anymore.
Now you can scream.
Maybe I can start being loud again. Maybe I can start yelling from the rooftops. This is awesome.
Well, he could be just listening to whoever's on.
It's true. He could be saying, maybe he's in chat right now and he's saying, I need me some good trade setups from Tactical Trades. And he's listening for the alpha through the wall.
I think, or on his phone.
That's good stuff.
Maybe he's the real Maddie123 that's tuned in and said evening chaps. Yeah, that throws off the scent there, BitBoy. We get it. Okay, there were some stocks. Do you want to go and get into some stocks, or do you want to look at some more? Indie Rock Crypto threw out a ton of tickers for crypto.
He did. Early on, he threw out a whole heck of a lot. And if we don't get other suggestions, we can just fall back on those for sure. But let me get some of those green names and green badges in chat with some ticker suggestions for us. Now, I see right here, if we don't get another one, let's see here. I see one.
And maybe some people don't know what a ticker is. So a ticker is the 4-digit phrase for a crypto project, such as Bitcoin, BTC. Sometimes they're not 4 digits. Actually, cryptos are usually only 3, but you have Matic, you have AVAX for.
We got a super chat from Elo Brown saying, "Shh, the baby is sleeping." That's exactly what's happening. But then Mr. J commented, "For the shroom, LCID. What is LCID, Shroom?"
I think that's a Lucid.
Let's take a look.
LCID, yeah, Lucid Group. Cool, nailed it. All right, taking a look here, you can see there's not much historic data. I think it just IPO'd. Just kidding, it's a 3-month chart. Let's take a look here at the date. Actually, I do want to look at the monthly. So far, I'm not super thrilled. I mean, this thing has had quite a move to the downside. 86%. So, if you're in Bitcoin, you should be used to something like that. But it was peaked out around December 21, so it's kind of following just the general risk asset cycle. Its proximity to the Bollinger Band is not showing much improvement. It's just kind of trading sideways under that. Now, Lucid Group, I happen to know a little about them. They're a competitor to Tesla. They do have electric trucks on the road, I believe, or is that the other one? But anyway, they're taken seriously. Let's see. I think that let's see what their market cap is. It says it usually. Market cap is $12 billion. So not anywhere near Tesla's market cap, but they're serious. They're taken seriously. They've been able to curry a decent amount of investment. All right. So let's take a look here. Now, whether they've been able to turn that investment into profit, or even into revenue, that's yet to be seen. But looking at it just on a technical chart side, Tim, there's no reason why I wouldn't want to get your take on it as well. But looking at the daily chart, it's just bounced off the midline for the Bollinger Band, so that's good. It was able to break through. What are these order blocks that are empty called again? The dead blocks?
The breaker blocks?
Breaker blocks, yeah. It was able to break through a breaker block. Actually, it didn't gap through it, but it had a nice strong candle. Again, this is the daily chart. Nice strong candle bounce off of the midline of the Bollinger Band, able to get through. Mm-hmm. So in theory, you could see a movement. It had a nice wick up, almost 3% today, But in theory, you could probably see a movement over the next couple weeks of about 15% until you get to the next breaker block.
Mm-hmm.
And it did that. It did that back in July 11th, so not too long ago. It did it. I guess that was probably last week. Yeah, would have been last week. Let's throw on some other indicators here just to kind of get an idea of where this guy's headed. We'll give Market Oracle a second there. Oh, now it's on. Yeah, so it's on a sell rating currently on the daily chart, but it does have a green line here. So a little bit of contradiction there, but you want to have confluence. You want to have these lining up. You want a strong or a buy here from Chart Prime along with the green line here, and you're not getting that quite yet, at least on the daily. If I went into the 4 hour, it might be different. But first, I want to look at the MACD. So the MACD actually looking pretty bearish. You're getting descending histograms here, and then also you're about to hit a bear cross, which can be bearish. Can be, if that's the only thing on a chart, then you're not necessarily selling it. But that is one pretty serious bearish indicator that I'm paying attention to. It's crossing into the red zone here on the Prime Oscillator Pro oscillator. I'm seeing it cross into that red zone, which it hasn't been in for a while. Actually, hasn't been in there since June 29th. So pretty much the whole month of July, it's actually been above and out of that red zone. This midline has this oscillator or reactor line has been outside of it. So the fact that we're dipping back into that's not a great sign. Again, all in the daily chart. Let's zoom in into the 4 hour, and things look a little more bullish. The MACD histograms are coming in away from bearish sentiment, coming in a little more bullish, and ultimately, you do have the dynamic reactor here coming back in to that red line, which could be bullish. But overall, here, guys, I'm not seeing like a super strong reason to jump into this name, and I think a lot of that has to do with just Tesla just continues to steal the show. Tesla was able to roll out their Cybertruck yesterday. For the first time, non-prototype. You also are on the 4 hour. You're getting that sell rating up here again, and while the line here is green, so all you would need is a buy signal on the bottom for some big movement to the upside. But I'd say if you're in this name and you've been holding for any amount of time than you're used to downside. I mean, even if you go back to June of 2022. You're used to being down 61%. You're down 61%. If you're DCAing in this name and you believe in it, again, I have very limited knowledge on the actual profitability of this company, but if you're, I'm trying to determine whether or not it's a hold. If you're in it already, I'd say it's probably a hold, but I would be watching very, very closely the structural movements of the balance sheet. Like, are they actually making money?
I think T-Shroom. I think there's a case for a 15% trade here on this, but you're going to want to watch this one closely. Go to my screen real quick. I'll show one update on some things that we're seeing here. Daily chart. I'm going to play this area up here. Look at where the dynamic reactor here is on the daily chart. I also pull up our fixed range volume profile from all the way back in starting quarter 2. We're into quarter 3, but we're really early into quarter 3 at this point. So I'm looking at volume from quarter 2. We did kind of come down here almost to the point of control perfectly and bounce. But what I'm saying, I think there's a chance we have some room to the upside, but you want to be cautious. We're rounding off right here, as T-Shroom talked about here on the oscillators. We got down to the 50 on the RSI. We're down at the 0, close to the 0 as we're kind of bending over. Money flow is rounding off, yes, on the daily chart, which means, again, this is a trade to get in and out of. I don't know if we're going anything explosive. But notice here on the daily chart, let me go ahead and put down the volume. Notice what this move here the last couple of days did. It came back and filled a big CME gap that we had. Yes, we filled it up here, but we came back down and filled it once again. A lot of liquidity down here at this spot. We also just created one up here. So when I skip the 4 hour and I go all the way down to the hourly chart, we just came down. We crossed a little bit below. We're kind of using the hourly dynamic reactor as a support, and you can see money flow. This is a trade that, like, it would have been better, obviously, to come in back here, but hindsight's 2020. You can't go back in time and trade. You can look and say, all right, I'm too late for a massive gain, but is there still gains left here to be had? And when I see this gap that doesn't close all the way up until $8.12, I think there's a very real possibility, which let me go and use this trade one actually instead of using the other one. I think, oh, I used the wrong one. Sorry, guys. Let me go grab my long position. I think there's an argument with very conservative watching and not overly getting, too heavily emotionally involved in this, but then putting my stop loss. You kind of like where it is right there, but I might go back out just a little bit more on the daily chart here. Putting my stop loss right here at the trend, probably a little bit below the trend assistant on the hourly chart. But look how that top would get us right there up into the dynamic reactor on the daily chart. That's a 15% gain. There is a potential trade here for certain. But T-Shroom is right. When we're talking about longer term hold, the overall trend, even on the daily chart, is more of one to the downside, this Lucid group. But I could see an outside possibility here, guys. As we're looking at the hourly chart again, we are moving a little bit more bullish here on the hourly chart. We do have money flow continuing the upside. We did just cross above the 50 on the RSI, come back down, bounce for support. We could see a push back up over 70 and come and fill this gap that we just set this past weekend. So the opportunity is there. Do you want to execute on it? That's completely up to you. I would definitely watch this one closely, but there is a chance. This is a trade. If you want to be aggressive and use leverage, you can. But again, this is one I'm like, well, I could trade 1-to-1 and still get a 15% trade within the next couple of days. That's a decent little trade set up right there, even without leverage. That's my personal opinion. You guys do what you want with that. You don't even have to trade this one if you don't want to. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but there is an opportunity there for certain. It could continue to move to the upside.
Yep. Absolutely. They've got earnings coming up on August 7th, and they are not in profit. They look like they may have done a profit on Q1 of 2022, which is probably why I think that correlates with their all-time high. But since then, they've not been in profit. But, let me see even if
By the way, YouTube is glitching. Someone asked, "Is the show over?" It did it this morning on the morning show as well. YouTube has some issues today. The show is still going for anyone who's back in. If you're ever having problems, just refresh your page. And
sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But Tesla, on the other hand, has been in profit for a while. So their earnings have been positive for since the end of 2021 at least, is as far back as I'm seeing right now. So probably longer. So it's like the other thing too is like EVs are still a bet, especially in the auto industry has kind of shifted towards EVs, right? But they're still putting out way more gas and diesel engines than electric vehicles. Obviously, there's a shift towards that. But if you're betting on a company that's solely electric, that's a bet, right? It's not a sure thing. And so you need a leader like Elon Musk. You need an X factor to tell me why I should put my dollars in there. And obviously, Elon Musk constantly stays in the headlines. He's relevant. He's sexy. He's hot. He's hip. He's got all the young people talking and chatting, right? Who's the CEO of Lucid Group? I don't know. Where are they? Are they in Dubai? Are they in Singapore? Are they in Boston? I don't know. So I can't get excited about that. If you're a car person, you might feel differently because of the design features and all that kind of stuff. They may have better ranges than the Tesla. But their stock price is not reflecting excitement.
Yeah. Well, let's get some other ones in here. We saw a request for STX. Are we talking about Seagate technology, or is it meaning STX USD? Is STX USD a thing? Stacks? Yeah, I would imagine someone would ask for Stacks.
STX is the layer 2 for Bitcoin that's been coming out.
I know. So STX is Stacks. So
right.
Stacks is definitely, top 100 coins. So it's more than likely that people are looking at asking for their never done TA on Stacks. So you guys will get to watch me kind of work and wrestle through this one. T-Shirt, why don't you go ahead and go over to my screen? We're looking at Stacks here. I want to start off with no oscillators, nothing whatsoever. Just kind of get a good eyeball test. I might even go out to the weekly chart. I'm going to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, no, we're good. Here on Coinbase. Sure, it's not the oldest history, but I'm going to stick with Coinbase on this one. I'll go back to the daily chart, and I'm going to start kind of looking at really what's been happening here over the last, ever since back in February 2023. So we're not even going back a whole year. We definitely here had a little bit of a falling wedge pattern, but there's not a really clean line here. It's kind of like it started back here. I'm just going to say we're going to go ahead and say we're going to draw the trend line here. We're going to draw a trend line here. We're going to come back here. We're in a little bit of a falling wedge pattern. Now, this isn't the greatest falling wedge pattern I've ever seen. Don't really love it. Reason why is because I really wouldn't even count that. I'm gonna put this back here. We're really looking at the waves have been playing out. Only 1, 2, 3. Does that mean we're coming down here? Not necessarily, but if we're in a falling wedge pattern. So even as I draw this line, I don't love that how I've drawn this line. What I might even be tempted to do is say, look, I don't love it. Yeah, there's not really anything clear going on here. But keep your eyes on this one, guys. I'm not about to say enter a short on stacks, but I definitely would keep your eyes down here on this level for a potential retouch somewhere down here, double bottoming what we had back in June. We did have a wick there, and you know what they say, which I always butcher it: where we see a wick, we candlestick, or where it wicks, it candlesticks. I think I said it right. Where it wicks, it candlesticks.
I think you did.
I think it's a first time for everything, they say. So 44 cents is a little bit something I'm interested in seeing there. However, it doesn't have to get that third wave. It doesn't have to get that fifth wave. It's pretty common. What we're seeing here, I'll kind of break down what I'm seeing on the hourly chart. I don't necessarily love what I'm seeing on the daily chart. We're not all the way down here super low. We're not getting anything flashing here anytime recently, saying that we're oversold. Again, if we were sitting at the zero line, I'd say, hey, are we about to have a nice little bounce? But we don't have that. We have money flow still falling. We came down, didn't even get below the 30 here, and we're back down. That's not really bullish divergence just yet. You can start making an argument that if we do find some sort of bounce, we have bullish divergence. But we're not seeing anything significant there. So with daily chart, I'm just telling you guys right now, I'm definitely, this is not a coin that I want to be holding for the next couple of weeks. We'll come down to the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart, say, is there a trade set up here? But I don't like the daily chart. In fact, the more that I'm looking at these oscillators, and let me look at this stuff here as well, we're rejecting on the dynamic reactor. Let's see what our multi-time frames. Yeah, we have a lot of, we have right around where we're hovering. We just bounced here off an order block, but we definitely do have a level down here towards that 48 cent level. I don't know if we're going to revisit these levels or not. I guess a lot would have to happen there. But my point here at this point in time, not long-term bullish on stacks, not liking what I'm seeing on the charts. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Let's see what it tells us. Not great here either. Now, we are using that trend assistant as support. We have not had a red trend assistant since all the way back here on the 4-hour chart since the 16th of June. So that trend assistant, until it breaks it, that is something to keep your eyes on for sure. But notice after we touch it, coming back down here, we don't really get that far away from it. Get a little bit distance right there. Let's see what's the distance between the trend assistant and that peak at the time of that peak. 17% above it. You always forget when you're looking at altcoins, the littlest movements can have some pretty big percentages. But either way, you guys can see not only that, the volatility away from that trend assistance getting less and less and less. We're now below the 4-hour dynamic reactor. We rejected on the 50, on the 0 and the 50. Not a great point. You guys can see money flow started to move to the upside and then kind of keeled over. So this definitely isn't a trade I want to be in probably for a full week here on the 4-hour chart. Let's look at the hour chart and see is this one I maybe want to enter for a couple of hours, maybe a day at most. No. Money flow is low, you can make an argument it's rounding, but the RSI itself hovering below the 0 and the 50. Best case scenario, you're seeing a move back up to reject right there. I don't even think we make it all the way back up to dynamic reactor. Best case scenario with bullish momentum here, we're looking at, yes, I'm sitting here almost like thinking like all we can do is long. I'm looking at this. This is the one of the night, guys. Stacks. What I might be doing is looking for a short opportunity here on stacks. I'm not liking this chart whatsoever. Not liking it for shorts either, really. This is kind of a middle ground. I want to wait, potentially see one more push up. I want to see. I might be considering entering a short here if we get back up. I would say I want to probably trigger the 4-hour. I want to see a 4-hour pull back up to the 0 and 50 on the oscillators. And then when I see the trigger on the 1-hour chart, same thing. I'm entering a short, and I believe I could get some good price action down here more than likely. Let's take a look. Probably those levels I was just talking about. Let's take a look here on the 4-hour. Listen, guys, I started off saying don't take this too seriously, but screw it. guys, this 47, 44 cent range, let's draw ourselves a little T-box here. Not a bad area to keep your eyes on. Again, I think I showed you guys with the multi-time frame. The multi-time frame gives us a level. Yeah, the multi-time frame on this is the gold is my 12-hour, gives me the third significant level of support all the way down here at 47 cents. T-shirt, that's very tempting to say. I think that stacks should be shorted down to 47 cents. What would that be if I enter a short on that? Let's say I even do it right now. Let's say, all right, I'm going to come over here. I'm actually going to use a short position here. Current price action right here, all the way down to 47 cents is where I want to take profit. I probably put my stop loss. Yeah, I probably put my stop loss a little bit above this order block. So we're looking at a 23. I don't really like that either, but I might put my stop loss. That's a little bit too aggressive for me. Let's put it down here, where it's only 11%. This one I probably would not leverage trade. I probably just trade this one straight up 1-to-1 with a 23, almost 24% potential take profit, only risking 11% of a trade. That's a pretty good trade setup right there on stacks for a short opportunity. One more thing I want to look at here. Let's take a look at STX over BTC. This is another thing that you guys can absolutely do when you're trading, because you guys know we talked about I'm kind of leaning more towards a long on Bitcoin. Let's see what stacks is looking like over Bitcoin. Pull up our oscillators here. Yep, coming right back out, right there, hovering at those mid levels, the 0 and the 50. Let's see what the daily chart is doing. We're definitely in a downtrend, and we are not sitting in a place where we're overextended. Yep, this is I'm just doubling down on this, guys. I do absolutely believe that right now we're about to see stacks continue to lose dominance to Bitcoin, moving to the downside. So that's two different reasons to be shorting stacks right now. If you're looking for a trade opportunity there, whoever asked that one, good catch. If you're looking to short, if you're looking to long, be patient. It's not time. You can go back to Brocam now,
Really,
T-shirt. We can
really
move on to
quick,
that
I had
one.
something to point out on the monthly chart for stacks to Tether.
Yeah.
You can see that it's been rejecting pretty obediently on that midline of the Bollinger Band. And then also you got the red line here, and it's been under a sell for a while. That's on the monthly. So, these indicators are not having a smile on their face when they're looking at stacks. And I got to admit, so the underlying, it's kind of like ordinals, but it's for smart contracts, like the fundamentals on stacks, like what it is. So I think that's a pretty unproven thing, is smart contracts on Bitcoin. It's a nice idea in theory, and I could see why it spiked up initially, but I don't know. Some of these projects are too good to be true sometimes. I wouldn't say that about stacks yet. I mean, they're still developing, but that's kind of my take, is the fundamentals don't really match up. Bitcoin is valuable because of what it is, right? Stacks trying to add value to Bitcoin. There's one thing I'd say is reason why. I mean, I don't know what the reason is, but Lightning Network, there's no coin for it, right? And there may be a reason for that.
Well, there's two comments I want to respond to right here. First one, Eric Wallen says, do you think Tim's coworkers think he's talking to himself? Eric, in any other field of work, yes, you would think that that we're talking to ourselves. Here at a YouTube and content creating company, no, they assume you're always streaming. It's actually weird if you're talking to yourself. Everyone just assumes if someone's being loud in a room, they're either on a YouTube show, or they're on a Twitter Spaces, or they're on Twitch, or they're recording a video. So no, no one. It's actually, you walk past rooms and you walk past rooms quiet just in case people are recording here. There's a super chat. I don't know how we missed this one, T-Shroom. So Elliot Locke, so sorry about this. And it's a great question here. Bearish flag on BNB from June 23rd on the 4-hour. Am I wrong? I actually saw this earlier in Bro Time. For anyone who doesn't know what Bro Time is, that is our we have a Tuesdays and Thursdays show. Tuesdays for silver and up. We do it here on YouTube. Thursdays we do for, I can't find Binance. There we go. Thursdays we do it for our gold members. We actually interact with you guys. We let you guys come on and talk, our gold members, on Thursdays. But he did mention this because we were doing some BNB TA. Let me turn off some indicators here. And I want to start off by saying, yes, you absolutely could make the argument here that this is a bear flag. In case anyone doesn't know what he's talking about, let's go to the 4-hour chart, actually, because this is one he mentioned, where it makes it the case a little bit less. It also depends on how you stretch this. Just so you know, when you're looking at bear flags or bull flags, something you are keeping an eye on is the flag starting to get a little too overextended? Like, imagine if I'm drawing this, my flag, I want a good long flagpole for a good flag, right? That's a good flagpole. If I get a flagpole that the flag itself is way longer than the pole, you almost act like it's imbalanced. This isn't a very good flag, so that's not really what you want for it. Now, you can always manipulate the charts. So there's no like perfect way to execute this. I can try to make things really skinny like this, and it's like, oh look, that's not overextended. But if I actually were to show you what the candles looked like, now you're making the argument, yeah, that flag is a little too long. I'm going to go ahead and just say, let's pretend that we're going to count this as an actual flag. And for this, I'm actually going to go out to the daily chart here. Let's pretend what we're actually looking at here. I'm going to use this tool right here. What is this tool called? I always forget what this is called. The regression trend. Great tool here. You guys have a little bit of a flag right there. This would give us a flag pole right here. We extrapolate and move this over. You don't go to the bottom of the flag. You go to the top of the flag for this one for bear flag. This would give BNB a price prediction down to 176. If you're a bear, a lot of people are saying, yeah, that's what we're expecting. Crypto Savvy, for example, absolutely expecting that. Excuse me, that and a lot lower. Let's go lower than the low we had back here back in June of 2022. I don't think that's what we see happening here. One of my reasons why here is because we are seeing a very significant level of support. Also, the argument could be made back here. Let's say I didn't see any of this price action coming in. If I were to hit replay and I were to come back here, for example, and I can let it even play out a couple more candles, but you could make the argument we had a bear flag back here as well. Let me use my regression tool. Let me go like this. You got a nice little flag right there. We got a nice little flag pull back here. I'm sure there was plenty of bears calling for a pull down closer towards 150 in price, because that, my friends, is a bear flag. But it didn't play out that way, because remember, in things in TA, in this one, that would be actually been a pretty good educated guess. But when you let things play out, we didn't end up moving to the downside. We actually found support right here, and we moved to the upside. So we pause right there. What we have at this point now, we're looking, if you're sitting here in September 2022, you're looking at recent price action. Also, by the way, let's see, June 2022. This is we're looking at a time period where there was a lot of different crashes happening here. I believe this here in May would have been this. Which one was first, Celsius or Terra Luna? I always forget. I believe it was Terra Luna that was first. Then Terra Luna fell apart. Then we come down here. I think we actually rebounce. Celsius happens on down the road here some other time later on. No, actually, sorry. I misspoke, guys. This up here was Terra Luna. This right here would have been Celsius. But we're starting to develop a little bit of a pattern here. After falling down and touching this level, we make a rebound and we come up to resistance. Then we fall back down. If we're out here, we kind of fell to similar levels. Yes, we have some candle bodies closed below that level, but you might be tempted to draw a line down here. But I'm kind of looking at some other price action we had here. You'll see why this plays out. We come set a second top. So now we definitely have a trend kind of setting for our resistance. Let's let this play out just a little more. As you watch the rest of 2022 and early 2023, we come back down and we start to make it a more clear, like we make a good effort there. We had a wick blow through there, but as a whole, we're kind of sticking that same area of resistance. We come down here, set another level of support. So we're seeing a trend of support. We're seeing a trend of resistance. And this just continues to play out through the rest of 2022. And now, again, early into 2023. Look at all these touches right here. I didn't know any of this was happening, but I drawn this trend line from this point, and this area. This one I drawn from this point, these points, and this point. And of course, we found ourselves now back finding some massive support on BNB, finding ourselves on the daily chart as we touch this line with oversold flashes, green reversal triangles. As we kind of ride this line, we're setting up bullish divergence. Now, we did get a red reversal, but notice the oscillators are really not that high. Yes, they crossed above 0 and 50 on the RSI and the chart prime oscillator, but they're not really that crazy overextended. So to me, I'm not necessarily that worried about this red reversal triangle. As we move down towards the 4-hour chart, and we start to kind of look down here, I can go ahead and take off. I want to take off this trend regression tool. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, every time we start coming back down, look at this, guys. Every time we approach back down towards this macro support level, we're getting massive oversold flashes. Now, we talked about this on our show earlier. I had these drawn here a while ago too. These flat levels of resistance have been in play now for a while. Several different areas in the past we've used them as support and resistance. So we are flashing overbought every time we get back up here, which means there's not a whole heck of a lot of volatility happening on BNB right now. But when you look at the more macro, we are sitting here saying, gosh, BNB looks like an interesting project to potentially invest in to get a push. Now, I probably would say if you're wanting to look for a lot of confirmation, what you are looking for is a confident candle break on the daily chart above 257, a candle body close, and then you're starting to look at targets maybe back up here. You have a little bit of hesitation here in the lower 300s, but you're possibly looking all the way up here to 350 to get back up to this resistance trend that's been in play all the way since back in May of 2022. We're massively overextended on Binance. And I understand looking at that and saying that is a bear flag. But again, when you start to add in confluence, you're not finding confluence of this being a bear flag. You're finding actually the price just had a really big dip. What was this time? June 6th? Was this not? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is June 6th, is that not the area that we started to see the lawsuit on Binance? We see altcoins like Cardano and Matic and Algo start to dip because they're named, BNB was in that as well. They're named as securities by the SEC in a lawsuit against Binance. We come back down to support. Yes, this looks like a bear flag, but in reality, it's actually, we're just down to macro support. There's just no more room for it to really move to the downside. There's gaining a little bit of support back into BNB. Binance is still an exchange used for trading. I don't see this as a bear flag, guys. I see this as we came back down to support, and I think we're going to see something similar play out to what we had back here in July of 2022. Hopefully that answers your question. Go back to Brocam here, T-Shroom. Hopefully that answers your question. That was Elliot that asked that. Good observation from a TA perspective, but this is where you still want to look for confluence. And I don't believe the confluence is backing up a bear flag scenario. It's actually backing up a concept of overextended, oversold. We found support. There's more room to the upside in the near future than there is to the downside.
Heck yeah. Well, Army Piper entered the chat.
I did see this, yes.
And many Piper emojis followed. Oh, wow, a lot. Like many. We love it.
Come on. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo,
so,
Broz. Well, let's do this. What time we got? It's 9:41. It's getting close to wrapping this up. Piper, as a guest and a viewer of the show, what do you want to see TA on tonight? You will be our last.
Well, I've got one.
TA
I told.
Request. Well,
I said I'd do Palantir. Yeah.
Well, you're ruining my promises.
I'll do it quick. I'm not going to be.
Go ahead. I want to finish with Piper. Piper, make your request, and we're going to finish with you. What do you got first, T-Shirt?
All right. We're going to get into Palantir here. It's kind of a weird one to pronounce, but actually, let's start in the monthly before I get too crazy in there. It's got a buy rating, guys, on the monthly, and it's got that green line. That's what you want to see lined up. Accelerating histograms on the monthly. I mean, there's 2 data points there, so I don't know how reliable that is, but on the monthly, it's looking good. On the weekly, it's coming in on some major support. I mean, resistance here at 19.25. It's currently at 18, though. So it's got some room to run. I think this is actually a pretty good buy on a dip. It's had quite a run. It's got these orange, it's got the candy up here on the Prime Oscillator Pro. Might encourage me to hold off for a dip. But I'll say, I've been in this stock for about 2 weeks, and I'm up 27% on it. So I've been very happy, very grateful for this play. And what I'll say though is that it's starting to get. It's got to be oversold, but it's not. It looks like it should be, but it doesn't. But it actually, there's other indications that it's not. So if it can get through this resistance here and actually push through 1927, and I'm looking mostly back here, and then also here's where I put the bottom in. That could be very bullish for this name. Yeah. And ultimately they make software and they do things like that. So, and they're in profit. So that's really good. So we'll see. Did Piper say what he wanted some TA on?
He said H bar. I'm also very curious. I asked in chat, but I want to say something. I want to say something before we go out, because I saw some people in chat this morning giving him a hard time. I want to welcome Jack Mehofer. Again, quickly becoming, he's here. One of my favorite people now. And I'm telling you guys, this guy's consistency and engagement is top notch. Now, is it the most encouraging and uplifting? No, it is not. But I'm starting to see a pattern here. I asked him the question in chat, T-Shirt. I said, Jack, who is your favorite crypto influencer? Because he talked about Bill Noble putting him to sleep. He says we put him to sleep. So my question is, who is his favorite? He just said Ozymandias and Heisenberg. I don't know what that is.
Never heard of him.
I secretly I think we might be Jack's favorite crypto influencers, and he's too bashful to say so. But in reality, he just sits by his computer day in and day out, waiting for an update from the Investing Bros channel. He's clearly subscribed with that notification bell, and he's just on his stuff. So, Jack, shout out to you. So glad to see you here. Let's do some H bar TA and close out this Tuesday tactical trades. Now, I will say, guys, it's been a minute since I've done Hedera. It's been a minute since I did H bar, and I will say, whew, look at what we got going on over here, guys. This is proof that TA works, but T-Shroom doesn't want to show my screen. There we go. The last time I did TA on HBAR was to make a prediction of 8.5 cents after breaking out of a falling wedge. Technically, guys, we blow up a little bit above it, but TA is not perfect, but it is a great call. This is a call I made back when we were in and just breaking out of the falling wedge. I have not touched it since then. Since that point, let's go ahead and back this out here. What it looks like we are developing. Do I still have replay on? I don't know why I still have replay on. That's weird. But we are developing potentially another little falling wedge pattern. Even right, I think it looks like we just broke out of another falling wedge pattern. You can make a good argument. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can make a good argument for the fifth wave having just played out here on H bar. And so again, you asked for a lot here. Hopefully this ends up working out because we just did play out a successful falling wedge pattern back here. This would, oh my gosh, it would give us a push right back up to that same exact level resistance that was back here in August, back up here towards that 8.5 cents if this falling wedge level plays out. Now, that's longer term. I'm not giving a timetable for that. Got to stick kind of right. Here we go, Jack. Love my boars. There you go. Love you too, Jack. Love you being here anytime. Let's kind of zoom in here, though. It could take us a little minute to get back to that level. As you guys can see, more recently we have had some bearish divergence. We're sitting really high here on some oscillators. So you're in this spot. You're kind of looking and saying like, hey, does this falling wedge pattern actually not play out? Is Tim drawing the line wrong here? Should we actually be looking maybe even closer up here? And maybe we don't even have that many touches here just yet. There's a lot of things you really could do with this. But this bearish divergence is a sign. We definitely don't have confluence of that falling wedge being super bullish. Just something to keep your eyes on for sure. Not liking the daily chart, guys. My initial reaction is if you're saying, Tim, what do you want to do with H bar over the next month? I would lean towards a short more so than a long, just looking at my daily chart here. Now, if the bulls really take over, this could absolutely go super high. When bullish trends happen, you ignore these overbought flashes. Look at this. We got the overbought flashes all the way back here. We move to the upside. So there's that outside chance. Are we repeating history like that? That we get overbought flashes just after breaking out, and then we move to the upside? Possibly. You got to sit there and here and look at the oscillators, though, and say, all right, I am seeing bearish divergence. I am seeing, I haven't even seen them yet, but I'm expecting reversals over bot flashes here very soon. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart, kind of thinking through what do I want to do maybe this next, 5 days, week or so. Had a lot of volume come in here, despite the fact that price really didn't do that much. So that is very interesting here. But there you go. We get a bearish divergence here on the 4-hour chart with a red reversal triangle. We did move a little bit to the downside right after that flash. Not a whole heck of a lot. Got a reversal flash right there. A peak seeker on our trend fusion. Our RSI sitting here did bounce right there on the 70. So the 4-hour chart, daily chart, Tim, which way you're leaning? Leaning a little more bearish. 4-hour chart, which way we're leaning? We're leaning a little bit more bearish, guys. Bearish divergence coming in here. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. Are we a little bit low here? We are a little bit low on the hourly chart. It does look like we're making a push up here. Yes, we had this overbought flash. We dropped below the 0 and the 50, but we're making a push back up. I do want to see us maybe push back up above that 0. Looks like we're working to push back up over the 50. This is not a long with confidence, but this would make me say I'm not entering a short with confidence either. Where it really was going to come in here. Let's see what we just had a bounce off the hourly dynamic reactor. Let me see what the 4-hour chart's doing. Have not touched our dynamic reactor or trend assistant here recently. What about the daily chart? Let's see here. We came up and we haven't touched it, but there is that sitting above us, the dynamic reactor. Here's what I'm going to say, guys. I don't think this is a long until we break that dynamic reactor. I even want to look at support resistance levels. Yeah, that dynamic reactor and everything sitting right above us. We also have some resistance sitting right there. We're sitting right at current resistance. I think we're going up long term. If you ask me longer than a month, hey, I think HBAR's got some future. But what I'm seeing on the charts here, guys, when I'm looking daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, next couple hours, I think we got a little more room to the upside. But next couple days, next couple weeks, I don't think so. I think we're looking at a little bit more bearishness. I want to see if this is proven wrong again, a repeat of history where we get some overbought flashes, but we move up anyways. Those things obviously happen. But I think there is a decent, okay. I'll change my mind. Let's break through the dynamic reactor. If we break through the dynamic reactor, get above it, similar to what we did back here, we'll enter a long. I kind of think Piper with HBAR, this is a wait and see. I'm not really confident either way because even like as I told you right there, the charts are kind of more saying bearish, but you have that argument to talk yourself out of it. I think this is one I'm holding on HBAR. I'm not entering any trades right now. I'm waiting for a breakout. If we break above that dynamic reactor, though, now we're talking about a good long entry. And again, we're talking about that breakout. I don't want a short position. That was my last one. Let's go to a long position. We're probably looking at a purchase somewhere here in the range of 5.7 cents or so. My take profit right here. That's a 40 cent. Oh, that's so beautiful, guys. I'm probably doing my stop loss here just a little bit below this most recent bounce. Again, I'm waiting for an entry up here, a breakthrough, that daily dynamic reactor, but 47% profit, only risking 22%. Once again, do what you want. But I kind of sitting here saying, sorry, someone said something in chat that really distracted me and made me laugh. I'm not ready to enter a trade. I'm holding on HBAR, but I think that if you hold and you're patient just a little longer, you'll know whether to enter that short or long. What I entered right here, Indie Rock Crypto just said, does Jack equal SME? And it's making me really question that. That would make sense on so many levels. Eric Wallen also says Jack DZ. I don't think DZ and I have a complicated relationship. We're frenemies, but I think overall DZ likes me. He likes my fire. He likes that I don't just keel over to him, that I argue with him. But I don't think DZ cares enough to come in and be a fake troll in chat. Smay, on the other hand, I don't think Smay has the time either, because this is real commitment and he has work. But if you're telling me right now, what are the odds that Jack is Smay?
Tim,
I'm going to say 100. Let's go. 100 over 1 over 100. 1 in 100 is what I would say. I think there's an outside chance, a plus 100 chance that Jack Meehofer is actually Smay.
I think that Jack Meehofer is someone who is also in the chat currently.
You think it's two different people?
I think it's one person on one account and then one person, the same person on another account.
Is it our friend from Minnesota, you think?
I think it could be. I have no proof of that. I don't think we're ever going to find out because that's just that's the way anonymity
Smay
works.
Doesn't make sense again because there's so much commitment. I'm kind of, now that you, okay, this is actually a mystery. Could Jack be our friend from Minnesota?
I think it is.
I think
or somebody. It could be bedridden.
I doubt it's bedridden. Bedridden is one of the nicest people and most handsome people you ever meet. You guys would know that if you were in gold and came into our chats. Bedridden is one of my favorite people. He's too nice. He's just too nice of a person to be Jack.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's bedridden.
Dude, now that this connects so many dots. I'm having fun. I know it's time for us to go because it's 6:53. But Jack Meehofer, you have me stumped. See, there's a part of me that wishes he really is a genuine different person. He's not who we're suspecting. But you start to add in some things. There's, I think that he might be from Minnesota, this old Jack Meehofer.
Well, we may never know. We may never know. All right, Tim, lead us out. Get us out of here.
Oh, thank you for coming to our very special edition of Tuesday Tactical Trades. It is me and T-Shroom signing off. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Investing Bros live show. Once again, guys, this is Army Piper Show. We do not own this show. We are sitting here while our man is down, but when he's back up out of that foxhole, cannot wait for him to get back to leading this show. With that said, though, on your way out, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Adios, guys. You guys have a great night.